Well, what up, fam? It's your boy, Black Innovator, coming at you again with another innovative video. First off, I want to tell everybody happy holidays to you all. Hope you all enjoyed your holiday and didn't eat too much like I did. I hope you didn't pig out like I did. I'm still recovering from it. But I'm going to jump right into this. I decided to do a quick video and talk about some of the tips of real estate. I hear about the real estate market booming and everything. I got my few little transactions going on. I decided to share some tips with you all, right? Now, I'm just going to be very short. It's going to be a series of videos, so bear with me, right? The first thing is getting a moolah, getting the cheese, the cheddar, the bread to pay for that property, right? You got to figure out how you're going to pay for it. There are several different ways of financing and getting your property, get the money to pay for that property you're trying to buy. The very first and the most, traditional way is called conventional loans. Conventional, right? Now, conventional loans is going to the bank, going to the lending institutions, the primary traditional lending institution. Now, this is great. This is great if you can do that. The benefits of doing that is you got cheaper interest rates. It's usually, the fair market as far as the interest rate. But there's a major setback with doing that, going that route. You got to have the good credit. You gotta have the assets, the income, and the debt ratio. All that's got to be right. And then, more importantly, a lot of times you got to have the 5 to 25% down. And this is the conventional loans. When you go to like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, even the VA, veteran, disabled veteran. Not disabled veteran, but veteran loans. This will fall in that category. This is most of your traditional lending sources, right? Now, I want to put out there, too, that if you go the traditional, conventional loan way, it's good to go. I like credit unions as opposed to banks. Credit unions are a lot, easier as far as qualification. They're a lot personal one-on-ones. So I recommend you look up for a good credit union or even just in general, I recommend you sign up with a good credit union. If you're a first-time home buyer, you want to look and research for first-time home buyer programs. There are many different programs out here that even give you grants towards the down payment to help pay your closing costs. Some of them might help with give decorative allowances, for you can do some little repairs. So research, and it's primarily based on your state, your county, your city, and then I don't really know of any. I think there's maybe a few federal programs, but you want to definitely check that out. First-time home buyer programs. Should you decide to apply for a loan to try to finance the property, one thing you don't want to do, you definitely don't want to shop your credit around, because each time they pull a hard pull on your credit, you got two different types of pull. You got a hard pull and a soft pull. A hard pull will bring your credit score down. So what you want to do is find out all about that lender requirements and make sure, ask as many questions as you can to kind of ensure that you're at least in a ballpark, if not knocking it out the ballpark, being able to get qualified for that loan. So you don't want to shop around going to this lender, that lender, because each time it pulls your credit score down. Then you have the non-conventional lending sources, right? What's what I like to call secondhand mortgage lenders, right? The non-traditional lenders. These are, you have loan officers and other lending sources. They go to just regular standard loans that doesn't fall into particularly the bank category, right? Then you have hard money loans. We're under the non-conventional side now. You got hard money loans, and then you got this thing called portfolio loans. Now, I've never done that. Portfolio loans are loans directly from the bank that fall, and their portfolio, it's like a private loan from the bank. The requirements are not as strenuous. I don't know much about that. You might want to research that. I've never, all my years of doing real estate investment, I never used it. But I'm just putting it out there. Then you got what I love, creative financing. Say that with me. Creative financing. This is how I purchased many of my properties back in the day. Even now, my last property was done through creative financing. So this is when you have private financing. Creative financing is you do private financing, like maybe an investor, somebody to fund it for you. My first investor was my godmother back in '96. She was my first investor, Then we formed a conglomerate. We had group financing. We formed an organization, and we started buying properties that way, as a group. So you got the private financing, and you got the group financing. And another thing I've done many times is owner financing. This is one of my, all-time favorite. Owner financing is essentially when the owner becomes the bank. The owner carries a note for you for that property. What I love about that is you can negotiate the terms. In case in point, I'll give you my scenario. I purchased a 6-unit building in Chicago that was owner financed. The building was worth several $100,000. I would have to put 30% down because it was a commercial building. But I was able to get that building only $10,000 down. I was dealing directly with the owner. Therefore, I was able to get favorable terms. I only paid 6% simple interest, which, is not amortized, it's not compound interest. It was just whatever the amount of the property was, what the price was. I just simply paid 6% of that. So in 3 years, and it was a 3-year balloon to final payment. So within 3 years, I had managed to pay off like some ridiculous amount, like $40-some thousand off the original price, because so much of the money that I was paying went directly to the principal, right? So there you go. This is the benefit of owner financing. I want to point out that there's a difference between owner financing, called lease to own, rent to own. You got to be, careful not to get too confused, because owner financing is when the owner actually sells you a property, and it's generally in the form of a land contract. Now, with that land contract, you actually have ownership, right? And it is usually recorded. You can take it down and record it on the deeds that your name is actually on that property as the owner. So what happens is, if you wanted to get finance at some time in the future to pay off the property or whatever, you can get a pretty much a refinance, because you own that property. You have ownership in that property. Whereas with a lease to own or rent to own, it's completely different. That is when you are leasing with the first, or renting with the first option to purchase that property, should that owner decide to sell. So they say the owner wants to sell the property, and then what you do is you get first dibs. That doesn't, now you can work out an agreement that you can apply so much go towards, if you're there for 5 years, you can work all that out beforehand. But just make no mistake about it, it's still you're leasing that property with the first option, should he or she decide to sell that property. Another way of doing creative financing is what is called a double closing. Double closing. These are some of the most phenomenal transaction way to close a deal, in American history, right? So what it is, you're purchasing the property in one room, and you have a back-end buyer, what we call a back-end buyer, in another room who's actually buying it from you. So you're taking the proceed, the back-end buyer, the second buyer has required a loan. They went through the whole loan process to secure the financing to pay for this property, and you're acting as the middleman, right? So you haven't actually closed on the property yet, but then you are selling to this back-end buyer. You simply take the proceeds from the back-end sale and pay off the property. Now there's some legality involved with this. I know they say it's illegal. People are not familiar with it, so you need to find a title company, attorney. Remember, I call attorneys. I say that they are the ones who are gatekeepers. I call them gatekeepers. They're the ones who block deals like this. So you need to find people who are investor friendly people, right? And simply allow you to proceed with the transaction. There are some little, FHA, HUD, and VA, they require a 90-day season on title, which means that the title of that property requires 90 days before transfer of the ownership of that property. Just like double closings allow you to actually sell the property without owning the property, there's another trick you can do, trick of the trade, is called or as a sign, right? When you create the contract and you put down or as a sign, that legally allows you to, for lack of a better word, sell that contract, right? sell that contract. So you give the earnest money, and you put your name on the contract as if you're the buyer, but then you put right next to your, in parentheses, next to your name, or as a sign, allows you to assign that contract to someone else. And so you can go and secure a contract for someone else and add on an additional $5,000, whatever costs above what you're looking to ask for your services for finding that contract and selling that contract. This concludes the first video in our real estate tips and training for beginners, right? So if you like what we're putting out, please subscribe and like the channel. I have a very busy schedule, and I'm trying to put out the content I think you want to, that'll be beneficial to you. But if I'm not getting any feedback or any response, it's kind of make it difficult to continue on, right? So please like the channel, leave a comment, and if I get 500 subscribers, I got a bonus video I'm going to put out. If I get 500 subscribers or I got a bonus video I'm going to put out about how to invest in real estate, or how to get the residual income from real estate without actually even owning the property. All right, so just go ahead, like, subscribe, and look forward to talking to you again. God bless.